this is Mesh. Welcome to this review of The Sinner. So let me give you a brief review spoiler free, then I'll delve into some spoilers with a more in-depth review. So I'll give you a spoiler warning preceding this spoiler section. So The Sinner review spoiler free. So this came out on Netflix on 7th of November, I believe. But it was previously released in the USA in August of this year. So it's a drama, mystery, thriller, 8-part series. So this might be old news for some people, but for the people that watch Netflix, it might be relevant. So now the problem is, it's a very hard TV show to review without leaking spoilers. So I'll try to be very generic and not reveal anything specific. So I watched the show without hearing anything prior, and I think that's probably the best way to approach it. But I will say, I enjoyed it, but I definitely have some issues to raise. But for the most part, it was entertaining and addictive. The way the story plays out, it really makes you want to know more every episode. The acting is good. The script can be a little dry sometimes. And one point I will mention is the show can be very slow. Sometimes it almost feels on the verge of stagnant. So for me, the slow pace was okay, as I feel it builds tension and intrigue. But I can see how that slow pace may put some people off. The story itself I thought was sufficient, but I'm starting to wonder if the quality and incredible production value we see in other shows is starting to set my standards too high. Should I be comparing a little show like this to something like Westworld, or Mindhunter, or Stranger Things, or Twin Peaks, or even Game of Thrones? Because ultimately it's not going to be able to compare. But I will say it was a compelling little 8-part series that kept me coming back for more. So this drama mystery thriller, it had me hooked for a few days. And this is probably as much as I can really say without spoilers. But I think if you're going to watch this, it's best to go in blind. But just be a little cautious, as this show definitely has some flaws. So I hope that helped you decide to watch it or not. So now I will begin the review with the spoilers. So review The Sinner review section, spoiler version. So whilst the show was progressing, I thought, awesome. This looks like a show I'll be able to perhaps do YouTube theories on, try and dissect and explain angles and situations and stories that are left, leaving us with questions. Initially, I was definitely enjoying the show. I will admit the pacing was definitely slow, as I mentioned before. But that isn't always necessarily a bad thing. If it's done correctly, it can be a very powerful tool. So the acting was good. The story was intriguing enough to keep me interested and wanting to find out more every episode. And ultimately, as I said, the show had me hooked to watch all episodes, all 8 episodes, to find out what the mysterious event that occurred to make Cora behave like she did. So if you haven't seen the show, you just want me to spoil the story for you, or just a quick reminder in case you have forgotten. So The Sinner's storyline in 30 seconds-ish. So Cora randomly kills what looks to be an innocent stranger called Frankie Belmont. But after Cora is arrested, we're slowly drip-fed ideas and snippets of the history that there was an unconscious drive for her to kill Frankie. So Harry, the investigating detective, goes on an almost unwanted investigation to find out what occurred. He eventually finds out the full story, which shows that Cora experienced a traumatic event where she was betrayed by her then partner and also witnessed the death of her sister. So after that, she is then kidnapped and drugged in the hope that she would forget these events. And it worked for a time, and she couldn't remember until she killed Frankie, and then Harry helped her recover those lost memories. So as I said, I did enjoy the show. It kept me coming back for every episode because I was trying to figure out what occurred. What was this tragic event that we're slowly being drip-fed? What caused Cora to behave this way? And we're fed the segments of the event every now and again. Enough as well. When you get a couple episodes in, you start getting enough to try and guess and theorize of the situation. We also start seeing her childhood, looking for more ideas as to what possibly caused her to behave this way. And we start to get to know Harry also, the detective. But ultimately, when I finished episode 8, the entire story was revealed in its full context. I found myself feeling disappointed. So this is a bit tricky to explain, because I think the show has merit. But what made me feel disappointed was the ending. The ending felt underwhelming. Sure, it was a tragic event with innocent people involved, and obviously not all innocent as well. So normally I don't care if I'm wrong about predicting show outcomes or ideas or the concepts that are slowly being revealed. Perfect example would be Westworld. How many theories got thrown around, most of them wrong. But yet, even though they were wrong, they could have been a valid part of the story. They could have been used because it would make sense. It was a sensible theory. Sure, some of them were a bit crazy, but still. But in the cinema, the memories that were given, most of them are inaccurate. Whilst in a way it makes sense because Cora was heavily drugged, it is frustrating to the watcher because it's misleading. So I just spent 7 episodes trying to figure out a scenario that was pretty much based on misdirection that I would never be able to guess because of the inaccuracies that were being fed. So I did walk away from the show disheartened by that. But I do also appreciate the show kept me engaged for 7 episodes. So I thought the acting was good. The story was also interesting as we were being slowly going along that storyline. It reminded me of the Memento movie as well. I thought Jessica Biel and Bill Pullman did a good job. I guess in summary, it's a really tricky situation. It's a really tricky one to try and explain. So on one hand, I enjoyed the premise and the build-up and the acting was good. But on the other hand, I am disappointed by the conclusion and felt the misdirection almost soured the whole concept. A few other points as well. The script definitely felt bland at some points. Harry's the detective, his story was underdeveloped and ultimately felt redundant to what was going on. There was an attempted kind of tie-in and a relationship, a friendship which was built, which is definitely a valid point, but the reference to them together didn't really seem to work for me. And we had a lot of other characters as well we started to learn about, but then they just faded into nothing. 2 police officers are an example, so Dan and Catelyn. Both those characters seemed very interesting, and we started to see a bit about their history and then nothing more, gone. So I wasn't going to review this TV show at all, as I found myself feeling quite negative about it, and I didn't want to just do an entire negative video. But over the last few days, it's left me more bewildered, and I guess I keep going over it because it was interesting, and I just keep going over it in my head because it's such a strange scenario. Also, I can't deny, as I've said a couple times, I was hooked. The first 7 episodes, which indicates that those episodes were done correct and they were done right and they were done good enough that it kept you wanting to know more. So the acting and the build-up and the mystery at that point was good. So ultimately, I guess the show for me peaked upon the reveal. So when it was fully revealed, no further thought was required, which leaves no mystery to find out. So, yeah. So David Lynch, this is all your fault. Maybe Twin Peaks has ruined me forever, that I want to go away from a show wanting to have an in-depth thought about it and think about it constantly. And that's not what the show delivers. I mean, it delivers those addictive few episodes to start with, but at the end, I didn't walk away thinking any more about it. And I think that for me is one of the core things that makes me really appreciate a good movie or a good TV show, is when I leave the movie theater or I leave the couch after watching it, the next few days, I'm thinking about events that I watched, either trying to think them through and figure it out, or that they were so powerful that they keep coming back to me. The Sinner had a few powerful scenes, I will give it that, but it just seemed that it wasn't quite there. But I'll leave the summary here for now. So, once again, how I feel about the show, awfully conflicted, I guess would be the summary. So leave your comments below. I'll be interested to know what your thoughts. Thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe for future content about various other shows we've got going on. So we've got Stranger Things as well. I'm still covering that every now and again. Some other stuff coming up in the future also. Some shows starting up very soon. So until next time, this is Mesh, and I shall see you later.